Today on the Topping Show, Bud Light releases an ad and of course it flops. Target turns out to donate to a group that promotes kids transition without parental knowledge or consent. Target also has a Zoom meeting that leaked. Trump gains 13 points in the polls while DeSantis loses 10 points in the polls. New York City halts bank deposits for quote-unquote not fighting discrimination. MoviePass rises once again from the grave. Disney versus Comcast. Comcast launches a streaming service. All that and much, much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you need a little assistance, reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Now, going on to the politics part of the podcast, you have Trump gaining 13 points and DeSantis losing 10, which that's a big delta, big difference. Now, this is a poll from CNN that was performed twice, the most recent one being May 17th through the 20th. Now, they compare that to the poll that they performed between March 8th to the 12th. And the poll also said, on average, 53% of Republicans support Trump, while 26% of them supported DeSantis. Now, it'll be interesting to see, does that gap get wider throughout the campaign trail now that Ron DeSantis has officially thrown his hat into the ring, so to say? So he's officially running for presidency. He had a flop in terms of his actual announcement on Twitter Spaces, in which, again, he was mostly monotone. And if you're giving the most important speech of your life, one would think you'd be a little bit more bombastic, energetic, enthusiastic. And of course, there's no visual because of Twitter Spaces. And again, in terms of a lost business opportunity, Elon should have invested some resources so that it can make it the first one with streaming image or video capabilities. That would have done two things. One, would have made the actual release with DeSantis much more powerful. You actually see him. And secondly, it also showed people how Twitter is increasing their capabilities as a business to provide additional resources and capabilities to their client base. However, I digress. A lot of people are noting a lot of Trump's social wins in terms of when he went to the town over in Ohio, when you had the trail derailment in which chemical spills were throughout East Palestine, Ohio, and the federal government was ignoring it. Now, in terms of politics, Trump did go on site within a couple of days. He actually went to McDonald's and bought a bunch of the workers and support staff a bunch of food, which, in terms of a political move, was quite brilliant. Because you get quite literally on the ground, you're supporting the community, you're putting a face to the, or people already have the face to the name, but it shows that he cares, which, again, I know a lot of politics is optics, but in terms of political move, that's a brilliant chess move on his behalf, or that he made. Now, DeSantis has gone to a couple rallies. He went to Iowa a couple weeks ago, but he needs to go into overdrive to make up for that delta after his speech. So, again, Americans have a very short-term memory, especially when it comes to media and politics. So there's plenty of run rate. There's plenty of room on the ramp, so to say, for him to ramp things up and close that gap. Will he be able to? Time shall tell. Now, other interesting political news: New York City is halting deposits at major banks that are, quote, that are not, quote, fighting discrimination. Now, specifically, they're limiting deposits at Capital One Bank and Key Bank after they failed to submit plans demonstrating that they have efforts to root out discrimination. Now, in terms of politics and business merging together or getting more involved together, this is one of the first instances I've heard of this, and it's quite interesting to see politics invade more and more businesses. And it appears they just forgot to turn in their paperwork like a child. Oh yeah, forgot to turn this in. Also, I'd like to know, what is their definition of discrimination? Is it faith-based, ideological-based, political-based? Is it race-based? What's the actual definition that they're going for? And is this part of their DEI score? Is this part of their ESG score? There are a lot of fiscal benefits and the reasons behind why businesses are doing those initiatives. Given the huge nationwide presence of Capital Bank, I'm skeptical that they actually have a lot of discrimination, because once you're a bank, everyone's money is green. You want the greatest number of depositors. You want the greatest number of people using your credit cards and all of your services as well, so you can make more and more of a profit, build a business, have a mutual beneficial relationship. So it'll be interesting to see how this story evolves, but for them to freeze their deposits, that's unprecedented. I have never heard that before. Time shall tell to see how that evolves. Now, going on to the business blunder of the day, you have Bud Light releasing another ad. And yes, they've had a downhill battle, losing billions of dollars in stock evaluation. Their sales are down $100 million. But maybe this ad will turn it all around, because they're coming out with a manly ad. Really manly. Talking about Harley Davidson out of Madison, Wisconsin. Now, I can't help but think Harley must have been... This had to have been a long contract signed years ago, or before the controversy with Bud Light that caused them to lose so much money. And I just can't think that Harley didn't try like hell to get out of the situation. So you have a limited edition can. And I'm not a financial investor. I'm not a financial planner. I don't have a fiduciary responsibility. But a good rule of thumb is, if something's ever sold to you to be a collector's edition or a limited edition, it'll never be worth any more than what you paid for it. More often than not, it's just BS. The only things that tend to go up in value are like supercars, where they make one or two of the car and they call it a limited edition. But usually the limit is how much they can sell. It's not really a limited edition. And again, it's a beer can. So someone might save it in terms of a novelty. Just be like, this is how Harley Davidson destroyed their brand. Now, you have a Bud Light can with the Harley Davidson logo slapped on there, which from a business perspective, prior to all the controversy, Bud Light would have been good for Harley, because they just get paid a royalty. They're basically just getting paid amount of money to put that logo on there and have their intellectual property licensed. So prior to the controversy, Bud Light probably would have been a good upside for Harley. But think about who drives Harleys, which again is an issue for the company because their clients are dying. I don't mean to be too literal, but that is what's happening. That's why they came out with an EV motorcycle, to try to attract a younger consumer in a different market as they diversify their portfolio. But for many years, Harley's had an aging, ever-increasing customer base, and they're trying to figure out, how do they pivot? Is this how they do it? I highly doubt it, but let's listen to this fun ad. Oh. Yeah, he's lifting up a... So they're actually lifting up a motorcycle with looks like a pump. So he's slamming his foot down in order to raise the hydraulic lift for the motorcycle.
Legacies are built with grit and resilience. One detail at a time. Limited edition Budweiser Harley Davidson cans. For those who give everything to their craft. This Bud's for you.
No, it's not. You're not their target customer. And the crazy thing is, Harley, this is not a cheap thing for Bud Light to do. Harley Davidson is one of the most premium brands in terms of just, they don't do a lot of licensing agreements to begin with. You usually don't see their t-shirts at random malls. You have to go to the dealership to get an authorized, authentic, Harley Davidson t-shirt. And that t-shirt probably costs more than a lunch. I think it's like $40, $50. It's because they put a premium price on their brand. Their intellectual property is a huge value of the company. And to just slap it on a cheap beer that you're going to throw away after you drink. So the logo is literally getting thrown away in the dustbin, or the trash bin if you're American. And of course the guy had a beard, which beards are always manly, so that's an upside. But it's just one of those things where this is just going to make Harley look bad. Bud Light right now is radioactive from a business perspective. Everything that touches them is decreasing their sales. All the brands that InBev owns, which is the parent company over in Belgium, they're all decreasing. All their brands are going downhill as more and more people realize, oh, wait a minute, Bud Light's not a standalone business. They're owned by Anheuser-Busch. Anheuser-Busch is owned by InBev. So there's a big, big effect when you throw the little pebble in the pond. You have that ripple effect. All of those brands are getting infected and decreasing in sales. And again, prior to the controversy, the average Bud Light drinker, Budweiser drinker, I'm guessing either frat boys or older gentlemen, which for Harley, that's kind of their customer profile on average. So that might make sense, but right now, yeah, this is a business blunder. Harley's already been made fun of with South Park, where they said only the F word drives Harleys, and they all make loud noises, are obnoxious, which, but this is just going to multiply that effect even more, and again diminish the value of the brand. Which, again, there are a lot of motorcycles out there, but a big value add or the big premium that people put on it is the name, the brand, the American heritage. Has been built in Wisconsin for over 100 years. I mean, that is a huge achievement, especially for a business to have a manufacturing presence in the United States. That's prohibitively hard, which is why you have to have a greater price than the competition, because your overhead's a lot greater with labor, all rules, license, regulations. But they've done it. They've still been in business, and they are profitable. So it'll be interesting to see if this has a short-term effect on their sales cycle, if it decreases sales at all. But for Harley to go out of their way and to sign this licensing agreement and not, I can only assume they tried like hell to get out of it once there's a controversy around Bud Light. But either way, just having that partnership right now when Bud Light is at the peak of their radioactiveness, that's got to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Each one of those things helps the channel grow and develop. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your enemies, heck, tell your coworkers, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.